So Cliff, yeah, you used to hang out at the Randham Bowling Alley back when you were a kid. Can you tell that story?
Yes, I can. Uh, you know, it would be roughly from the years 36, 37, 38 through the time when we enlisted in the Navy. We were growing up, and the Randham was a bowling alley on Hamlin Avenue, just off of Randolph. Uh, if you want to get a physical picture of the area, consider the corner of Hamlin and Randolph. There are four things there. Bruner Restaurant on the side of the bowling alley, Trinan's across the street, Cretin High School across the street from the bowling alley, and the bowling alley was, and the entrance to the bowling alley was between a place called the Nook and the pharmacy.
Okay.
Now, if there's anything else you want to know about the area, I can describe it. We were in, at that time, I was born in 1924. So I was 15 in 1939. So you get back to 39, 40, 41, I'm 15, 16, 17, 18. And before that a little bit, we were aware of the bowling alley, and we would go set up pins as kids. My brother, Harry Schroeder, Jimmy Clark, Cliff Tedmon, and other guys, all pre-teenage kids, would try to get jobs pin setting in the bowling alley. I think there were 6 alleys, as I recall it, and I'm told, since I've been here, that it was built in 1928. Is that right?
Yeah, they had 8 lanes, but 2 of them were duck pin.
Well, at that time, one was duck pin and one was 5-back.
Okay.
Called it a 6-lane place because 2 lanes weren't used for regular bowling. Now, if you hear or you're aware of it, duck pins are little round, short, fat pins that sit, and you use a smaller bowling ball. 5-back are 5 regular-sized pins across the back of the alley. You use a small-sized bowling ball. And those 2 games are played, and we used to set those up along with the regular bowling alley. You sit in a pit down at the end of the alley, raise your legs up when the ball hits the pins because they'll fly. Let them hit the floor, we'd pick them up and set them back up on the rack. That's how it went. And all of us, you got to remember, the big depression started in 1929. People didn't have a lot of money. So bowling at that time was very inexpensive. I don't know whether they charged 10 cents a line or 15 cents a line or whatever it was.
Right.
And if you were a pin setter, you might get a nickel a line or 7 cents a line, whatever you can get. That's how it worked. And the kids would take the money and they'd take it home. If you could set 10 lines, you might have made 70 cents. You take that home.
70 cents for a whole day?
Well, 10 lines, that's quite a bit for bowling.
Yeah.
If you get 7 cents a line, you made $70.
Yeah.
And that's big stuff if you take it home.
70 cents, right? Yeah.
Yeah. 7 cents times 10, 70 cents.
Yeah.
And that's big money in
Yeah.
those days. My brother was working for Trina's drugstore across the street. He got 25 cents for 6 hours of running a popcorn machine.
Yeah, you mentioned that he used to sell alcohol during Prohibition too, right?
What happened? Cretin High School would call Trina's drugstore, and the brothers would place an order for wine or whiskey or whatever they were buying. And then they would package it up, unless my brother would carry it over and bury it, not bury it, but hide it in the bushes. And the brothers would then go pick it up and leave the money there. Then Les would go back and get the money and give it to Trina. That's how they got booze into Cretin High School. If you want to know the truth, that's what really happened.
Right.
I'm sure they wouldn't admit it, but it happened. As far as the bowling alley is concerned, it was a popular spot because it didn't cost a lot of money to bowl. And the guys that started bowling as kids, they'd let you bowl a while. You'd set pins and then they'd let you throw a couple lines and try to tell you what to do with the bowling ball. And the kids started to learn to bowl. Now, Jimmy Clark, my brother Les Tedmon. There was another man by Bob Clark, was a man, not kids. He bowled too. I didn't get much of it. I was busy doing other types of jobs. I did a little bit of pin setting, and I tried to learn a little bit about bowling, but I was never that talented at it. But Jimmy Clark became good, and my brother became a really good bowler. As a matter of fact, being a bowler helped him in the military. It didn't help Jimmy. The kids all played golf up at Highland Park, if you're familiar with the area, and then they would also come down at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything you'd like to know about the bowling alley? Or?
Well, then Harry too was a bowler down there, and he set pins.
Harry was a good bowler. The good bowlers were Jimmy Clark, Les Tedmon, and Harry Schroeder. Were all really good bowlers. Harry was a 180 average bowler. My brother became the first 200 average bowler in Sacramento when he bowled here after he got out of the military. And Jimmy Clark was also a 180 bowler. They were all good golfers, good bowlers, and generally like good athletes. That was the problem. And they were well known around the area for tournament bowling. The kids learned at the Ranham. That's where they started, and that's where they learned how to bowl.
Do you remember anybody that worked at the Ranham back then?
Oh, I couldn't tell you the name of the people. There were different people at times. No, I wouldn't know anybody's name. I couldn't tell you that.
And you grew up on Randolph.
We lived at 1262 Randolph, which is, if you walk out the bowling alley door, you turn right, and you go to the corner of Hamlin and Randolph Street. And you look down from that direction past the houses. The next street is Syndicate. And we were about the third or fourth house on off Syndicate on Randolph Street.
Okay.
The address was 1262.
Nice.
And that's where we grew up. So we were close. We go out, run to the bowling alley anytime we wanted. There were other things that happened close to the round, and I'm not sure we'll talk about that. There was a grocery store in there. They put a movie theater in on Randolph. But the bowling alley was the big thing at the time.
How about the Nook? How much do you remember about the Nook?
Well, I was a kid. We weren't drinking. The Nook is a bar, small bar. It's a local little bar, and a lot of guys that come out of bowling in, they go and have beer in the Nook. And it became a popular meeting spot for guys, even women, who wanted to go in, sit down, and have a couple of beers. And it's still there, I think, is it?
Yep. The Nook is still there.
Jimmy Clark practically lived in the Nook. I remember that, because Jimmy was 9 times a state golf champion, and he was well known in golf, more so than in bowling. Although I think he still had some trophies in bowling.
Really?
And so he just hung out in the Nook all the time because it wasn't far from where he lived. He'd either play golf or bowl or sit in the Nook. My brother Les worked for West Publishing Company. When he'd get through working, he'd go up and bowl at the bowling alley, work nights or weekends. And these are when they're a little older. But they learned their bowling at the alley. There's no question about that. These kids were there every chance they had. Every chance they had to set pins, they loved it. And they learned from some of the old pin whacks that would come in we didn't even know, bums off the street really. They could still show you how to bowl. And they would do that. I learned a little bit from those guys about bowling. And I did set pins a little bit. But I'll be almost 2 years, 2.5, a little older than my brother. And I was looking for better jobs. I worked for Western Union, and then I went to work for the U.S. Betting Company up on Vandalia and Wabash. And I was not going to do much bowling then. I became a pretty good bowler later on in life, but I learned down there.
Okay.
When I went to Sacramento, I wound up with the Classic League in Sacramento.
And all this happened like between 1935 and...
I would say between 1938 maybe and 1944.
Okay.
All those guys went in the Navy. Jimmy Clark went in the Navy, Harry went in the Navy, Les went in the Navy. Most of the guys either went in the Army or the Marine Corps or the Navy. I went in the Navy. And they all broke up about that time. They never really got back together again.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to know about?
No, just a little bit of history about the old neighborhood over there in St. Paul. It's kind of
Well,
interesting.
the neighborhood, if you, the theater was called, I think, the Randolph Theater. Take the corner of Randolph and Hamlin. If you stand at the corner by Brenner's pharmacy, the hook would be, or the bowling alley and the nook would be to your left. Trinan would be across Randolph on the right. Our houses on the angular corner, and Cretan High School to the left of the nook. If you go up the street, you're going up Randolph Street. Harry and lived on Randolph Street between Hamlin and the next block up.
Harry Schroeder, yep.
Harry Schroeder. And Jimmy Clark lived off of Hamlin, I think on Palace, up. So we could all walk to the bowling alley and the nook. That was not a problem.
Right.
We lived down on Randolph Street, right down on 1262. And there were a lot of young people, like the Hangy Boys. I don't remember what the Hangy Boys, I think they bowled at the bowling alley. The Hangies lived behind the nook, over on the next street up. I don't know, it was called Palace or something like that. And Bob Hangy and Rob Hangy and Clarence Saster and all the Hangy bunch, they all bowled in the bowling alley.
Okay.
So this was a local place to go, people go, and then just loved it. They loved that bowling alley because it was a nice place to go. Have a good time, enjoy yourself, and people always treated you real good when you came in. It wasn't a bunch of thuggy type places. It was just nice people getting together.
And there was a pharmacy on the corner, you said before.
Yes, Brennan's.
Okay, Brennan's, okay, because later in the years they used to be Bridgman's, but it was Brennan's before?
Yes, it was Brennan. It was a pharmacist, Brennan, and across the street was a pharmacist, Trinan. So there were two pharmacies right there. Upstairs over the pharmacy was the only doctor's office around.
That's right, you said you went to that doctor once.
He took my appendix out, that doctor. There was a little place, if you would walk out of Brennan's and turn to the left, walking toward the bowling alley. When you get to the end of Brennan's, halfway up there's a door, and stairs go up to the top where the doctor's office was. And that's where, when we were adhering newspapers for the St. Paul Pioneer Press and Dispatch, we'd pick them up and we'd sit in that little place with the door closed to keep warm during the winter, because the stores weren't open yet.
Nice.
That was all the paper boys did that. They hung it there and lined up your paper to put over your shoulder, and you carried it up Randolph and down Palace and up Juneau and wherever you went.
And you said before your brother Les used to sell popcorn there in that corner.
No, yeah, Les used to sell popcorn in front of Trinan's drugstore,
Okay.
across the street from Brennan's. And I don't know what popcorn cost, but I know he got 25 cents a night for 6 hours. That's what they paid him. And I don't know. The streetcar ran up and down Randolph. Hamlin was a car-driven thing, and if you leave the nook and you go past the bowling alley, past the nook, and keep on going, you run up the golf course, Highland Park Golf Course. And all these young guys still play golf at 2. They play golf and then they come down and bowl. It was a major form of recreation.
Yeah.
It really was a form of recreation, and we really enjoyed it.
And you haven't been there since, what, 1955?
I went to the University of Minnesota, and I graduated in 1955, and I left to come to California. I have been back. I have a friend, Walt Griffin, still alive, same age I am. He just had his 95th birthday. I just had mine. And Walt still lives in Minneapolis. His son became a medical doctor, Dr. Griffin, and his office was in St. Paul. And Walt lived 1 block from Jefferson, off of Hamlin. This way toward, if you go where the school, Jefferson, Randolph Heights School on Jefferson and Hamlin, if you walk across Jefferson, Hamlin, the first block, I don't know what it's called, Walter lived in a house there. And he now lives, I don't know whereabouts in St. Paul, but he's retired and lives there. His son, I think, is retired and lives there.
Okay. Is there anything else you remember about the Ranham and the Nook and that area? Any stories you can think of?
No, well, sometimes Top Bowler would come there and bowl. There were guys, you know, you think of guys like, I can't think of their names anymore. I hadn't thought of that. We've had some pretty good bowlers came to the Ranham, and you could go down and watch them when you're looking at a Top Bowler bowl. I remember a couple of them, but they're bowling for money. That's what they bowl for. Gee, if I could remember the names anymore. I'm sorry, I can't.
No, that's all right.
I apologize for that.
No, that's all right. Oh, very good history.
Yeah. Anything else I can give you?
No, it's just good to have just the recorded history of somebody that used to.
Oh, I hate to see it closed.
You want it to stay open.
I think it should stay open. It's a great place for kids to go
Yeah.
and learn a darn good sport. Bowling is kind of fading a little bit. It seems to me out here in California, at least it is. I hope it's not, because I always thought bowling is a tremendous sport. I loved it. I played it all as long as I could do it. I bowled.
Yeah.
I bowled out here in California, and I loved it. So once you learn and you can do it, it's a wonderful thing to do. It's family things.
Yeah.
Every one of my wives bowled, and I've been married 3 times. They all bowled. It's a great recreation for 2 people to go do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, I appreciate it. It's good to have all this recorded down.
I wish I could give you something more about it, tell you who ran it. I don't. I can't tell you that.
No, that's great.
It wasn't. They always treated the kids good. That I liked.
Well, good. Well, I appreciate it.
Well, thanks.
Thanks, Cliff.
I wish I could give you something better than that, but
Thanks.
it was a great spot.